In this video, I'm going to talk through 5 key quotations from William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet on the theme of violence. Key quotation 1. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life. The chorus. Prologue. Context. The chorus introduces the tragic narrative, indicating that the long-standing feud between the Montague and Capulet families directly leads to the untimely deaths of Romeo and Juliet. Methods. Foreshadowing. Sets a tone of inevitable tragedy, implying that the violent feud between the families is the root cause of the lovers' demise. Metaphor. The phrase fatal loins suggests that the violence is a tragic inheritance, unavoidable and embedded in the family lineage, leading to the lovers' tragic end. Links elsewhere. Act 3, Scene 1. The duel resulting in Mercutio and Tybalt's deaths exemplifies the fatal consequences of the familial feud. Act 5, Scene 3. The suicide of the lovers, directly resulting from the cycle of violence, fulfills the prologue's ominous forecast. Key quotation 2. Do you bite your thumb at us, sir? Abram, also known as Abraham in some versions, Act 1, Scene 1. Context. This incident occurs during an early confrontation between the servants of the Capulet and Montague households, which quickly escalates into a full-blown brawl, illustrating how deeply the feud is ingrained in both families. Methods. Direct address. Serves to highlight the absurd beginnings of serious conflicts, showing how deeply entrenched and petty the reasons for the feud have become. Colloquialism. The act of biting the thumb is a seemingly minor yet deeply insulting gesture in this society, serving as a spark that ignites the volatile tensions between the families, demonstrating how quickly violence erupts from trivial provocations. Links elsewhere. Act 3, Scene 1. The deadly duel between Mercutio and Tybalt shows the escalation from such provocations to fatal violence. Act 5, Scene 3. The tragic conclusion with the deaths of Romeo and Juliet underscores the long-term devastating effects of the feud's violence. Key quotation 3. O calm, dishonourable, vile submission. Mercutio, Act 3, Scene 1. Context. In response to Romeo's attempt to peacefully resolve a confrontation with Tybalt, Mercutio interprets Romeo's peacekeeping as cowardice, reflecting the societal pressures on men at the time to engage in violence to defend their honour. Methods. Exclamative. Mercutio's outrage, evident in the use of the exclamation mark, reflects the societal expectation for men to respond to challenges with violence, critiquing the honour culture that fuels the feud. Alliteration. The repetition of harsh consonant sounds in calm, dishonourable, vile submission emphasises Mercutio's disdain for what he perceives as Romeo's cowardice, highlighting the societal disdain for perceived weakness and the pressure it places on individuals to engage in violence. Links elsewhere. Act 1, Scene 1. The initial brawl sets the stage for the play's ongoing theme of violence, rooted in honour and familial loyalty. Act 3, Scene 1. Romeo's eventual retaliation and Tybalt's subsequent death illustrate the inescapable pull of violent honour culture, even for those who are inclined towards peace. Key quotation 4. A plague on both your houses. Mercutio, Act 3, Scene 1. Context. As Mercutio lies dying from wounds inflicted by Tybalt, in part due to Romeo's intervention, he curses both the Montagues and Capulets, blaming them for his fate and highlighting the indiscriminate suffering caused by their feud. Methods. The noun plague. This curse reflects the destructive impact of the Montague-Capulet feud on bystanders and innocents, indicting both families for their part in perpetrating violence. Metaphor. Describing the feud's effect as a plague powerfully illustrates its pervasive and deadly nature, likening the violence to an uncontrollable disease that afflicts all members of both houses. Links elsewhere. Act 1, Scene 5. The simmering hatred at the Capulet ball sets the stage for future violence, foreshadowing the feud's escalating toll. Act 5, Scene 3. The tragic demise of the young lovers, a direct consequence of the cursed feud, demonstrates the far-reaching and devastating impact of the family's violence. Key quotation 5. For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo. The Prince, Act 5, Scene 3. Context. After the tragic deaths of Romeo and Juliet, the prince reflects on the entire sad affair, lamenting the unnecessary loss of life and the extreme consequences of the violent feud between the Montagues and Capulets. Methods. Declarative. This final statement serves as a mournful reflection on the entire saga, highlighting the senseless tragedy brought about by the feud. Rhyme. The use of rhyme in Woe and Romeo lends a poetic quality to the tragic conclusion, underscoring the sorrow and futility of the violence that has transpired, marking a poignant end to the narrative of conflict and loss. Links elsewhere. Prologue. Foreshadows the tragic intertwining of love and violence that ultimately leads to the lovers' deaths, encapsulating the essence of the tragedy. Act 1, Scene 1. The initial conflict between the two households introduces the play's central theme of violence. So there you have it, 5 key quotations from Romeo and Juliet on the theme of violence. If you found some value in this video, then you may also be interested in this other video I made on key quotations from Romeo and Juliet, only this time looking at the theme of fate. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and remember to work hard, learn lots, and change the world. Bye for now.